Boom. What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Welcome to another brand new First Impressions fragrance review. This time, YSL's 2025 release of YSL Le Parfum. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be really upset about this release, and we got a decant before the bottles have even come out to the public, so that's why you're only seeing this 5 ml. But a lot of people are going to be upset because a lot of people love the original Le Parfum. They totally did away with it and came out with this 2025 version, which, spoiler alert, is not the same at all to the original. It's actually very different. And so, controversial move there from YSL. They kind of almost pulled a Dior, changing Dior Homme completely and coming out with a whole new Dior Homme 2025, where that one's just an iris bomb and really doesn't smell that similar to the original. So a lot of people are upset, but nonetheless, we're just going to go through, kind of talk about this fragrance, and I'll give my first impressions and thoughts on it. And you might hear from Canyon if he chooses to pop in the video as well. So let's get rolling with the presentation. So I'll just give a disclaimer here. Since we only have a decant and I'm not judging off of Alpha Fragrance's decant bottle, that's not what we're here to do. Shout out to you if you're watching this. But what I'll do is I'll flash up on the screen here in the following frame. I'll show you the current YSL Le Parfum 2025 and the original, and then I'll just kind of share my thoughts. So here's a quick peek of both of those. So as you can tell, the YSL Le Parfum, the original, very dark, kind of matte black kind of bottle. And the new YSL is almost like this deep royal navy blue. You can certainly tell a difference, certainly keeping that same kind of YSL bottle style that's kind of the same across their entire line. But just a little more lightened up, like I said, navy blue compared to black. Solid change. I mean, the bottle really isn't the most important factor at play here. But I do think that navy blue does look nice, as you just saw a moment ago. And as you can tell, the liquid is clear. So navy blue bottle, clear liquid, solid stuff. But I mean, presentation, let's be real, that's not the tip of the iceberg, most important thing at play here. So let's jump right in with the price. So these numbers are as of March of 2025. The 2025 Le Parfum, as of when I'm reviewing this from YSL's official website, a 40 ml is 108, a 60 ml is 155, and a 100 ml is 185. So certainly not cheap for this guy here once you get the full presentation and everything. And I do expect that price to drop once it hits discounters, but like I said, this fragrance is probably not even out for most people yet, and so the prices, of course, are going to be high if you want to pay to get this one early and not get it from a discounter. The OG Le Parfum, they discontinued that one, remember. It is not on the YSL's website, but it is on discounters. I'm pulling these numbers from the jomashop.com. YSL Le Parfum, the OG, is $81 for a 60 ml and $109 for an 100 ml. As we've said, that fragrance has been on the market for several years now. It's had time to hit discounters and drop in price. I expect this guy to do the same, but right now, I mean, you are paying a pretty penny, and unfortunately, designer brands are kind of going in this trajectory of increasing the prices of their fragrance. I mean, $155 for half a bottle and $185 for a 100 ml, that's not cheap. I know their elixir they came out with was over $200, and that's objectively the worst one in the YSL Y line, in my personal opinion. So, crazy stuff, but I guess it's just with inflation. Maybe these prices can drop back down, but enough with the price. Let's put this thing on a tester strip and let's see how it smells. All right, so don't pay too much attention to the atomizer here. We're just going to share a couple sprays together. Okay. This is the classic YSL Y DNA, but it's done in a more modern version, and it's kind of done with that Le Parfum style. Right off the top, you get ginger and bergamot. The bergamot's certainly a major player here. Pine needles and balsam fir in the mid, and amber and patchouli in the base. Now, for those that are lovers of the original Le Parfum, this is going to be completely different. I mean, there is no comparison from the original to the 2025 iteration. As in the original, you have apple, grapefruit, and ginger, so it keeps the ginger. In the mid, you have lavender, sage, and geranium, and then in the base, tonka, cedar, olibanum, and patchouli. So the original Le Parfum kind of had this reputation of being really rich, really dark, really sweet, typical with the YSL, really suited for nighttime use. And now the 2025 iteration comes out. It keeps the ginger and it keeps the patchouli and drops everything else, and almost kind of goes to that same vein as the EDP Intense did. A lot of people love YSLY, but the EDP Intense came out and took away a lot of that syrupy sweetness from the green apple and kind of made it an earthy, aromatic, green, woody fragrance. And really mature, maybe more versatile depending on who you ask. And that's maybe my personal favorite YSLY. That and Y Live is just kind of right in my wheelhouse. And so when they announced this, I was really excited because not only I heard it was going to be similar to the YSLY EDP Intense, but people were drawing comparisons from the pine and balsam note in the mid. They were drawing it from my favorite candle of all time, balsam and cedar from Yankee Candles. So I was super excited. I love me a good woodsy, pine, balsamy kind of scent. And so I was really looking forward to this. And after smelling it and after wearing it and even comparing it to the original Le Parfum and to the original EDP Intense, I have to say it really is doing its own thing. I think they advertise on the website that this is supposed to smell like maybe a waltz through a midnight forest, like pine needles and balsam right at midnight. And it's kind of got this icy, almost kind of midnight touch to it, if that makes sense. Like this is not as earthy, dirty kind of woods. It's a very crisp, sharp kind of woods. And I really can't describe it except for it truly does smell like I'm walking in the forest, not in the daytime, but certainly in the nighttime. And for those that might be fans of the Little Tree car fresheners, this almost smells like True North to me. Kind of that icy, kind of cooler weathered woods that you'd get from that Little Tree. And that's one of my personal favorites as well. And so really unique take here. You still get that YSLY sweetness, and you can tell that it's a flanker of Le Parfum and that YSL made the fragrance. But it really is probably the least sweet, most mature, and most masculine fragrance that they've probably come out with in quite some time. It's not as youthful. It's not as sweet from the apple. They only keep the ginger and the bergamot on the top. And I'm telling you, that opening quickly fades away, just leaving the pine needles and the balsam to kind of play its way out throughout the remainder of the fragrance. So if you love woods, if you love cedar, I think you'd really like this stuff. And honestly, it's a very pleasing scent profile. But if you loved the original Le Parfum, I wouldn't be putting all your money into this basket of keeping that same DNA because they are very, very different. But enough with the smell. We will jump into now the performance and the longevity. Okay, performance and longevity. As I've said, I've worn this a couple of times just to kind of get a first impressions. And I've heard other people that got this fragrance early, just kind of what they thought about the scent in general. And a lot of people are saying, solid performance, solid longevity, which that's par for the course. YSL's never really come out with a fragrance, at least in their Y line, that just doesn't last. They make high quality stuff, even though they're a designer brand. For me, I'm getting maybe around 8.5, 9 hours on skin, and then it becomes a skin scent around that mark. So not bad. The price kind of makes it a little more worse than what you'd like to hear, but 8.5, 9 hours, not bad. Get about 1.5 foot projection within the first hour or so, and then it kind of settles in closer to the skin. But honestly, really not bad. From what others have said, now I will give a disclaimer, I'm not a huge YSL Le Parfum wearer. I've never been one to just wear it a whole bunch. I don't have a lot of experience with it. But people are saying that the original still lasts a little longer and it projects better off their skin. It's not like a massive decrease in performance and longevity. Like this isn't just some wimpy 2-hour fragrance, but it's certainly not a beast mode, and it doesn't outperform the original. And so take with that what you wish. Obviously, two completely different scent profiles at two completely different price points. So it's really just a difference of opinion and preference at that point. But solid projection, solid longevity, and I mean, very solid scent profile as well. So just keep those things in mind, but let's also chat seasonality before we close. So this fragrance is not as dark or as dense as the original Le Parfum. It is less sweet, but it's not as heavy on your skin. It does give it better seasonality. I think the absolute blast of cedar and pine and woods here does let it be a little more versatile, but it's still got that fresh sweetness right there in the opening, as you'd expect. I think it's more versatile than the original Le Parfum. I would venture to say that this is spring, fall, and wintertime use. Evening or daytime, it really doesn't matter. I will say this. People have really been fond of the Le Parfum, the original, and even this one, the 2025, because they're just kind of known to be some of the best nighttime going out fragrances. Like, you take a shower, you're going out about 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening. A lot of people spray the original Le Parfum on and would go out because it's a great evening time fragrance from the house of YSL. This doesn't lose that. It still keeps that evening really good use there, but you could wear it in the daytime. You're not going to upset anybody if the sun is shining and you're wearing Le Parfum 2025. So just don't, it's not certainly only a nighttime fragrance. You can wear it in both, but people do prefer it in the evening. As I've said, great going out on the town scent. This version keeps that vibe. If you love this fragrance, like if you get your hands on this and you just love the cedar, you love kind of the icy freshness that you get off the top, you could wear this in the summertime. I'm not going to stop you from doing it, but I would be mindful of how much you spray. And at least for me personally, I think other YSL fragrances work much better in the summer. I'd go for Y Live if you can get your hands on that. Even the original YSL EDT or YSL Y's EDP, I think would all work better than the Le Parfum 2025 does, at least in the warmer months in the hot heat. So basically a 3-season fragrance. Really, I think this shines in the nighttime. And honestly, I think if you're an older guy, if you're in your 20s, 30s, and 40s, I think this could really be a solid option for you. It's not as youthful and sweet, kind of as the other YSLs are. It's not cloying in any way. As I've said, it's probably the least sweet of them all, but just keeps this mature, sophisticated, kind of grown-up woods throughout. Really nice masculine touch as well. It's not unisex whatsoever. And so if you're looking for that, if you're looking for a less sweeter option of the YSL DNA, I think this would be a great option, or even the EDP Intense, just depending on which one you prefer, because I will throw this nugget in here. I have found that the Le Parfum 2025 and the YEDP Intense are both very similar in the dry down. So that's just kind of my personal analysis, and I've been wearing different YSLs side by side and comparing and contrasting, but really good for older men, kind of 3-season fragrance. If you like woods, if you like cedar, if you like earthy aromatic fragrances, this is the one for you. But that's just kind of my personal drawings here from what I find with the seasonality for the fragrance. But drop down below if you have tried this fragrance out or if you're excited to pick it up yourself. Let me know your thoughts on YSL's Le Parfum 2025. And drop any other fragrance review ideas or video ideas down in the comments below. And myself and Canyon will certainly get to those. Also, subscribe if you haven't already. We're on that road to 2.5K. And I'll see you guys every single day for some shorts and a couple more times this week for some more fragrance videos. So stay tuned for those. Stay safe, and God bless.